Good morning. Good morning and happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing today? Post your post Memorial Day feels below. Drop a comment, and tell us, how are you feeling today? Some of you guys might be really freaking sore, huh?
Raise your emoji hand if you did Murph.
Yes, we want to see who did Murph yesterday.
Murph.
Okay, let's see who's in the house. Who do we have in the house today?
Only the most beautiful people.
Abby Diaz, Emerald Platzer, Jeanette,
Holly
Lombardi. Is that a new name, Holly? Holly, is this your first time being on the show? If so, where are you from? Tammy, Laura, Christina,
Machine.
Lori, Teresa, who else? Crystal, Catalina, Tiffany, Kristen, Kathy. Good morning, you guys. Tammy did Murph.
Yo. Man.
So we hope that you guys had an amazing Memorial Day weekend. You know, normally on a day like today, most women feel very guilty. Very, very guilty. So today's form of self-sabotage after yesterday's form of self-sabotage is going to be the extreme opposite of yesterday, right? Yesterday may have been one too many hot dogs, followed by a brownie, followed by a few Trulies.
Why do we feel guilty? Because I think it's the opposite direction, by the way. The Trulies first, then all the food. I was
like, what if they did Murph? They wanted to eat.
I don't think most of the world would choose to participate in that like we would. Yeah. But why do we feel guilty for doing that?
Because when we do it without an intention, we have this assumption that it's bad.
That's wrong.
That it's wrong.
We also have this thing called intuition, which is also a gut feeling. And we're born with it. And when you're a kid, even, you know you're doing something. When you're doing something wrong, you know you're doing something wrong. You might not even know why it's wrong, but instinctively, intuitively, you know that it's wrong, right? So you try to hide whatever. Like if you're stealing a cookie from the cookie jar and, you know, for some reason you think that you're not supposed to because you have this feeling that you're going to get in trouble for it, you know, you get sneaky about it, right? So it's also like, you know, when you are partaking in some kind of activity that is going to help you get closer to your goals or that is taking you further from your goals. And now you'll hear us say like the treats that we like to enjoy, or you'll see us post like, you know, a picture of us having a couple drinks or something, you know, or occasionally like you'll see us having some kind of like cake, like we had cake for your birthday, like, right? So it's not that these things are bad, but why is it that you feel so guilty when you eat them?
Why do you guys think that? I would love it if you could drop it in the comments.
I know why, because we've experienced it.
I know why too, but I want them to share with us, why do they feel that?
Yeah, why does that feel wrong?
For me, it felt wrong, you know, back when I used to struggle, because for a few reasons. For one, when I went into it, it was never planned. It was just kind of around me, right? For two, it wasn't intentional because again, it was just like around me. right? I didn't plan for it. I didn't earn it. I didn't use it as a form of celebration. It was just there. For 3, I didn't have any control over it, right? So it's all intertwined, right? And that's why you get sucked into this cycle. And, you know, sometimes it can take you years to just acknowledge that, right? But like avoiding it is not going to help. It's not realistic. So today, what most people are going to do.
Can we read what they said first? Carmen said, I think it's such. I think it's a mentality of shame and bad relationship with food. Because when you have a goal, it feels like you're setting yourself back. Because most of the time we overeat these foods and they don't align with our goals.
Can you go up real quick? I'm writing down some notes. Do you mind? Who said that? I think it was.
First one was
Cameron. Okay, it's a mentality of shame.
Shame, bad relationship with food.
And what was the other one?
Feels like when you have a goal, it feels like you're setting yourself back. That was Tiffany.
Okay, what's the other one?
Christina said because most of the time we overeat these foods that don't align with our goals.
Okay,
I don't think that's a why. Lack of control. Again, lack of control. As a child, we weren't a healthy family, so nurture, and poor habits. So the question though was, why do we feel bad?
Okay.
So
my next question, right? Mentality of shame. Why do you think we grow up being ashamed of that? Now, I have an idea. However, I'm wondering if we're on the same page on this.
It goes back to the feeling that you have, that like intuition. When you know something is not right and you partake in it anyways, you feel ashamed because you know you didn't do the right thing. And now it also is the lack of control. I think it's in the duo, right? The lack of control and the shame of, I know that this is not the best thing for me to be doing, but I'm doing it anyways because I don't have control.
So from what I've gathered is that there's 3 parts to it. We feel shameful for 3 reasons. For one, it's a cultural belief, right? We grow up in a society that, and you know, if you think differently, please speak up, right? Like this platform is here for you to give you permission to think as an individual and not just like, you know, consume. And so we respect that, right? However, from my own experience, I believe it's because culturally we're brought up thinking that, you know, like if I think of like an ideal body based off of what society portrays, it's a tall white girl who's blonde and skinny, and she has a thigh gap, and her stomach is flat, and she has arm noodles, you know, basically like a Giselle Bundchen or whatever. Like growing up, these were the women to strive to look like.
So I'm gonna say that's through your glasses,
right?
That's not what I wanted. Like that's not what I saw. So really, here's the thing. Like you are the only one in charge of. And okay. So first of all, nobody can tell you how you want to look.
Right.
And the way you want to look is not even about the look. It's about what that look gives you.
Mm-hmm.
And
what
that
feeling
look
does it give you?
Gives you is confidence, empowerment, accomplishment, which also then yields more confidence. So we say all the time, it's not about the weight you lose, it's about who you become in the process. Because that who you become is the person that you're striving for, but you think that it's a body that you're striving for, not the person that lives in that body. So you know when you're not behaving in alignment with the person that lives in that body, you feel guilty because you're cheating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's the behavioral part.
Yeah, and you know, there's such thing as habits too. It's not all just about motivation. It's not all about discipline. It's not all about just trying to avoid everything and say no to everything. It's more like I haven't taken the time to take the right steps, or I haven't been introduced to the right people who can give me the right steps, right? We try all these different programs hoping that, you know, we're going to lose weight. But if it's an unsustainable weight loss, or if then it's an unsustainable method. Right? So if everything that you've tried up until this point has not gotten you actually to where you want to be, I don't care if it worked. If you're not where you want to be, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it worked. Until what? Until it didn't? So it didn't work. Right? So, I mean, we're getting off topic, but...
So we talked about, you know, culturally, like how you view your best self from your own lens, right? And a lot of times, like we talked about, like it's skewed based off of what society teaches you, right? So I personally believe that a lot of people in their life, and I see that with assessments, like, you know, and this is why you have to pay attention, like, to the physical and the behavioral, like, you know, let's say a woman that weighs 250 pounds wants to be 125. I'm like, this is what she sees through her lens as being optimal. Right? But the reality is that it doesn't matter if she ends up, if her best self is at 150 or 125. But a lot of times, especially women, right? Like, they put a number based off of what they see as being ideal from their lens.
And it's a good starting point, right? But it always adjusts as you go, as you get closer to your goals in a sustainable way. The goals adjust. They always do. And if you do it right, you actually end up becoming better than you think you ever could have.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God. And then you look back and you're like, can you believe that 10 years ago I was here and now I'm here? And oh my God, like I would have never thought.
But you just said a golden nugget. 10 years. What if we told you guys that you can become your best self, but it's going to take you 10 years? Not 10 days,
yeah,
10 years.
Worth it? Do you want to try anymore? I think that a lot of people are like, I would say Americans especially, I can say this, like I've lived here my entire life and I know the shelteredness that it is because I've also been outside of here. I think that a lot of Americans especially are very much like just, you know, a lot of the world now, like thanks to, of course, all of the fast delivery, convenience, things that we have, it's like now we are learning and we are what's the word? We're conditioned to want convenience. And that's what our society has brought us. So it's understandable, but you have to get your mind out of that because it's not convenient. It's not quick, right? It's not easy. It's simple, meaning not complicated.
If you're doing it right, it's simple.
But that doesn't mean it's easy, meaning you're never going to struggle. Of course you're going to struggle. If you're trying to create change, it requires force, and force requires energy.
Yeah.
Right? And energy output means you're going to struggle, right? So, and a lot of times it's all mental. Most of the time, that's where it starts. Mm-hmm. So, it's not a matter of, you know, feeling guilty. You shouldn't feel guilty if you've done it right. Like if you want to eat a hot dog, if hot dogs are your thing, it's not mine, but whatever your thing is, I think in our community, it's more like sugar.
Popcorn.
I mean, popcorn's like the better alternative, actually. But like, you know, if it's ice cream or cupcakes or chips or whatever, like, okay, fine. If you want to have that, great. But what's the intention going into it? Did you even have one? Or are you just mindlessly shoving things into your pie hole and then you feel guilty? I would feel guilty afterwards too, right? But it's because you didn't have an intention. There was no purpose. It was just kind of like, do.
That right, and you know, that's just like doing anything in life without an intention. It's like you know, going to a store, let's say when they have a crazy sale, or just let's say going to Lululemon, right? And because they have new stuff that you love, you end up getting like 10 things when you didn't even intend on getting one thing. You just ended up going there because you saw that it was there. Are you gonna have remorse afterwards for, you know, running your credit card on, let's say, like 10 Lululemon outfits? Absolutely. Because you did it without an intention, rather than saying, oh shit, like I need a new sports bra. So like you're going out of your way to search for a sports bra and you invest in one. Good morning, Ken Jocelyn. I know that you're very familiar
with the sports bra shopping.
Yeah. But, you know, deep down, our intuition knows whether we're being intentional or not. Because if we're not being intentional, then we haven't planned that in the first place, right? So if you end up doing something and you don't plan for it in the first place, for one, that shows that there wasn't any discipline or plan going into it. So what makes you think that while you're in the moment, right, discipline will be practiced? What starts in chaos ends in chaos.
Amen.
Right? So let's say if you're going into a party, haven't planned like, okay, how many drinks you're going to have or what you're going to eat, right? Like there's already chaos in your head. What makes you think that you're going to come home from the party not having gone through chaos? You're going to sabotage yourself because you haven't planned for it in advance.
Intention also creates purpose, and purpose yields fulfillment. So if you don't have intention with eating what you're eating, you don't have a purpose, which means you are not fulfilled. You will never be fulfilled. That's why you keep eating more, right? Also, the second thing is that you didn't earn it because you just did that shit yesterday and the day before or 2 days before or last week or whatever, right? It's too often, too frequent. And you know in your heart, you're like, I didn't do anything to like really feel like I earned this. So then what happens is you do guilt cardio afterwards, or you do some kind of movement, or you think you have to run, 10 miles to make up for, something that you ate, or to make up previous to something that you're going to eat, which would be more of like you're earning it. But, if you do it, if there's something you partake in like every single week and it's just like, the starts in chaos, ends in chaos, and it's like a binge or a free-for-all or a non-intentional, mindless, just eating, like you are going to feel bad. Mm-hmm. And, the purpose of today's episode is to teach you that, yes, you can enjoy things, right? Yes, there are pleasures in life that have been man-made that now we know about them, we can never unknow them, like ice cream, that are fun to enjoy at times. But when you have no intention, you will not be fulfilled no matter how much of it you eat. And if you haven't done something to earn it, if you haven't taken the right, and I don't even mean, if I lose X number of pounds, then I can eat whatever. That's the wrong mentality. That's going to get you right back to where you started. But if it's like, my intention in order to earn X is to do Y and Z first, and then I won't feel guilty because I will have followed through with what I said I was going to do, so I don't have to feel bad by rewarding myself in the way that I said I was going to reward myself. Now, rewarding yourself with food is a completely different topic that we can talk about. It's just an example.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other point that was brought up was, you know, we feel like failure because we have this expectation that we have to be perfect, and we know that this is a very big struggle for you for this community. This expectation that that you have to be perfect. That is not true whatsoever. Like, for one, what does perfect look like to you?
I wonder if, I want to give a shout out. I just had to look it up to make sure that the person that I was thinking of was right. But I have to give a massive shout out. I don't know if Jessica Swanson's in the room right now, but she's going through our 8-week transformation, and she posted a video yesterday. We recommended a book that everybody read. And, you know, she read it and she's like, here's something that really stood out to me. And she's talking about the concept of perfection as something that we've made up. It's not even a thing. It's literally your imagination. Like, there is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is an opinion.
Ooh!
Perfection is your opinion
Ooh.
of what should be perfect. Right? Nobody tells you what you have to be. You get to tell you what you have to be, and you make up this idea of what you believe to be perfect, and it's just your idea. So then you try to live up to this expectation, which is everything that could go 100% right all of the time. And you know, and I know, and Sarit knows, and Boogie knows that that is not realistic. That's not life. That's not how life goes. Nothing happens 100% of the way that you would ideally like it to happen, which means that level of perfection that you've created is never going to happen. Mm-hmm. 0 times, ever, 100% of the time.
So now you're going to be inconsistent. And what do we know about consistency? It's everything. So I'm curious to know, what does perfection look like for you, since it is an opinion?
This was the book people are asking. It's called The 4 Agreements. Go get it on Amazon right now. And I want royalty. I mean, I don't think I deserve the royalty, actually. That's Don Miguel. But
yeah,
I commission Mr. Ruiz.
What does perfection look like for you, you guys? So it's not about perfection. It's about intention.
My hair is perfection.
If you were to carry your life focusing on intention as much as you focus on perfection, for one, you'll be a lot stressed out. For two,
a lot stressed out?
A lot less stressed out.
Okay.
For two, you'll be a lot more present and in the moment. You'll be able to enjoy your life and not, you know, go through the motions feeling guilty about everything that you do, right? And for three, you'll be able to make consistent progress. But people are so stuck in their idea of perfection, which looks like, you know, in this community, not eat any carbs, just boring steamed vegetables with grilled
brown
chicken
rice.
Breast, and I don't even think brown rice.
A quarter cup.
Too scared to eat rice.
A quarter cup. An unsatisfying amount, if any.
So I'm not going to eat brown rice with my meal, but then when I see a brownie and I didn't have an intention for it, and I didn't work on the internal mechanisms to help me plan for it, I'm going to eat an entire tray. Of course, you're going to be scared of carbs if that's how you operate. Every time you eat carbs, you end up gaining weight. Yeah.
Have you ever heard when they say, I just look at a carb and I gain weight?
Well, thoughts become things.
I just smell it and I gain weight. That's your perception. That's because
you
when
have
you
no
eat
self-control.
them, because when you eat them, you eat all of them. And then you eat your friends too. You don't eat your friends, you eat your friends' brownies.
But that is also because there is lack of control. So now I get it. The lack of control part goes very deep, and I know that a lot of you guys struggle with it, and both Erin and myself used to struggle with it for a very long time. For one, now more than ever, lack of control is something that's harder to gain, because in the food industry, like, scientists literally, right, will create food, right, like, not mother nature's food, right, like, we're talking like the fun food that you guys love but are scared of, right, you know, in a way that's addictive. So you physiologically could become more dependent on it, dependent on it, right? Like, than you would otherwise, right? So nowadays, like, ever since the 20th century, like, we see that a lot more people have less control, you know, over food, because, like, most of the food that's being presented to us nowadays, unless, you know, we've learned the system to identify what's a real food and what's not, is addictive. So it could get very slippery if you don't have guidance, if you don't know how to identify it. And guess what? The sooner you start introducing yourself to these foods, the sooner it gets. And that's why childhood obesity is a big problem, right? Because these kids are, you know, who have no control, right, are fully dependent on their parents who don't know shit about nutrition, are bringing into the home these addictive, poisonous foods. So by the time they're 12, they're completely overweight, probably, you know, have already, like, pre-diabetes, right? And, you know, they can barely move, and they're fully addicted to food, especially sugar.
Not to mention that their limiting beliefs would include that they are genetically designed to be that way.
Right.
When really the food industry will push everything that is not healthy as healthy, misleading us to believe that we're doing well. You know how many people I talk to actually that are like, I eat pretty well. I'm like, if you're 250 pounds, something's off in your definition of pretty well.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Actually, I would blame the food industry for marketing shit as, oh, it'll lower your cholesterol.
Free,
it's fucking
no
cereal.
Added sugar.
Fat-free licorice. Right? Like claiming, like trying to make these claims to make you believe that you are doing a good job. A shame on them.
Look, you guys, the FDA cares about one thing and one thing only. For one, their standards are very low. For two, they just want your money. Right? And that's why we show up each and every morning, you guys. And we say that we are on a mission. Because for one, we want to help women feel liberated. We want to be the vessel to allow women to live their best life so that they can feel confident. But until you master your body, you will never be confident. I don't care what you have in life. I don't care what car you drive, what house you live in, how much money you have in your bank account. If you're not happy with your body, there's no way in hell you're confident. When you look at your daughter, how you speak to her, when you look at your husband, when you're in a boardroom, it doesn't matter. Confidence for a woman is everything, because you know this very well. For a very long time, we've been oppressed, and we're still oppressed. And guess what? I believe that until, as women, we will have learned all the tools to have confidence, we will forever keep on being oppressed. However, I do believe that women do run the world. Who runs the world?
Girls. Okay, so you said that until you master your body, and I want to take it even a step before that. Until you I don't believe you can ever master your mind, because there's always things that you can improve on, even with your body. However, you can achieve a state of feeling accomplished and confident within your skin and your shape. Right now, you're the only one who gets to decide what that looks like, but you have to first master what's like between your ears. You have to first know how to control your thoughts and your beliefs and your ideas of what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong and what's, you know, you have to figure out how to not be perfect, how to understand that perfect is an idea that you have, which is fine, but it's something that will never be achieved, because it's when everything goes right. When everything goes exactly according to what your plan would be, which we all know never happens, and a lot of it's outside of your control. But when this knows what it does have control over and what it doesn't have control over, and then capitalizes on the things it does have control over, and learns how to move forward mentally first, only then can you externally transform.
Yep.
Only then.
And so many people are focusing on the wrong thing. Again, because they're not being intentional. They're focusing on the weight. They're focusing on a number instead of them focusing on how their thoughts need to change first. Your body will never change until your mind does.
I believe there's also a big focus on, will this food make me fat or not?
Yep.
Versus, how will this food make me feel? How will this food make me perform? How will this food give me energy or not? How will this food help my organs to function or not? Right? We look at food and we're like, oh, I still do it. I know you do it. Even if you're a healthy person, especially as a female, if you have ever in your life struggled with weight loss, you will have this thought when you look at food is, will that make me fatter, or will that keep me lean or getting leaner? Oh wait, do you think that? Do you look at certain foods and you're like, oh, and you kind of judge them?
Well, I used to for a very long time.
Like
that was my biggest struggle. Right? Like when I was sharing my story, until whatever happened to my dad. Then there was a shift, and then my life had forever changed.
But it never leaves the back of your head.
So now I think about, how will this affect my body?
Right. But you also look at food. Tell me you never think that about foods.
Bad foods, yes. Foods in general that I eat, no.
Right. Same. But there's always going to be that thought based off of certain things. When I see a brownie, yeah, of course I think that. Right? I second guess. But, when your perception starts to change, especially around the topic of carbs, you set yourself up in a much better position. So
I think it was it Brittany who just said, yeah, she said, every day I struggle with that thought. So Brittany, my advice to you is, instead of asking yourself, will this food help me get skinnier or not? Just ask yourself, how will this food help me feel?
Brittany, your name is familiar, and I feel like you're in one or more of our programs. If you are not already doing the 28-day metabolic reset, then you need to. And also get the Badass Fit Body Custom Nutrition Program before that, because there's mindset shifts within that program that are going to change your world, like rock your world. So if you need help on getting that, let me know. But I have a feeling you already have something. I don't know. Yeah. So again, we don't have control because of everything that's happening within the FDA and the FDA's rules and regulations, right? But unless we will be educated, okay, to think for ourselves that actual facts and not fall for claims. Most people fall for claims thinking that their sugar-free creamer is good for them because it's got no fat. Because it's sugar-free.
Meanwhile, it's got 50 ingredients in it. You believe a claim. However, you have to understand whether this is the whole truth. The food industry manipulates people by telling them a small portion of what's happening, right? So we believe it unless we really know the system as to what is a healthy food. how could you identify a healthy food, right? So like, you don't know what you don't know, and that's why I say it should be your duty and obligation to understand that system.
So the industry knows that we believe now, at this point, sugar to make us fat. So they're going to say sugar-free. They don't mention the fact that all of the chemicals that are within there change your hormonal balance or create an imbalance, which then also leads to weight gain.
Also, how about the different names of sugar?
Yeah, there's like 30...
It could have no sugar, but it can have something else that's a sugar byproduct.
There's like 1 million names for sugar. So, you know,
like
we're here to educate, and there's so much that we can do.
Right. Like, a lot of you guys are probably like, oh shit, like, whatever. For one, if this is something that you've been struggling with and like you want help with that, like, please reach out. I think you should know by now that we're here to help. For two, that's why our mission is so big. So that, let's say if there's somebody in your family that you see every single time that's either really guilty or always on a diet, and they never have fun, but they always look the same. And the reason why I'm saying it is because most women are like that. Scared to eat this, not gonna eat that, never gonna have a meal, always having cheese and crackers because it's small. Right? Look, we've been there. I've never eaten more in my life than I do right now. If you guys were to see the size of my nose, you're gonna be like, I don't know how that small body can fit all that food in it. But it's true. We give you permission to eat,
but when they see us eat, you're gonna. They're
right?
like,
how
think
can
the salad.
you fit all of that?
They think the salad is for 5 people. We're like, no, bitch, that's for us.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to make an extra big one.
So we give you permission to eat. However, you have to understand what's good for you and what's not, and what claims are being made towards you are not the truth. So, you know,
Jenny Wilson, send me a message right meow.
So you know, look, you guys, this is why we show up, and it's. I'll tell you my 1st degree mission, and then I will tell you my 2nd degree mission. And if you guys could help us with that, we will be extremely grateful. So now you're starting to have an insight of all the trickery that's happening within the world, right? So if you haven't been watching the show consistently, we recommend that you start there, okay? Look, like, with the way that society works, right? Like, things like the standards of the FDA are only going to be lowered and lowered, right? It is your obligation and your duty to understand everything that goes on into it so that you can understand for yourself whether it's the truth. Something that we always say is we are on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. That is why I wake up at 4 a.m. every single morning, when waking up this early has been a struggle of mine for a really long time, because it is my lifelong purpose and mission. I'm literally a vessel for that, and so is Erin. Step 1 would be to relieve women of shame and misery and frustration with this weight loss cycle that ends up leaving them nowhere, so that they can gain full confidence, feel empowered, and that we can show the world as women what it is that we're capable of. Because there's no way in hell that we're being given enough credit for what we're doing. Okay, and we can see that because we have amazing women like, you know, the women's national soccer team who are fighting like to get, you know, like bigger paychecks. Like, you guys see it and you experience it every day, but you don't fight for it as much because you don't believe in yourself, because you don't feel like you've earned the accomplishment. But it starts from within, right? And that's why it's important to work on yourself in a way where you can feel like you're in control and you're in charge. But look, if you can't tell the brownie no, and the brownie is in control of you, then how can you tell your husband or your boss or your girlfriend or anything, or your child? Right? So you end up treating yourself like a piece of shit because everybody else does. And I call that bullshit, because I think that women are such great givers, and we do deserve the best, but we need to give ourselves permission to do so. Okay? And that's why we started this community. So that's step 1. And that's step 2. When you do amazing things in life, the whole purpose of it is to magnify it. to magnify to the future generation. We have in America already 30 million kids who are obese. 30 million. Like, dude, it doesn't have to be this way. But that's because the moms don't know how to treat their bodies right? So the kids are fully dependent on their moms, right? And they grow up believing that this is how they're meant to live their life. So they end up dying at 30 of heart disease, of, poverty. There's a big reason why, weight gain and also financial struggle are very correlated. But we will get to that as the journey unfolds. For now, we're only going to focus on health. But you guys, this is a lifelong health mission to relieve women of all the frustration and then to let it trickle down to the next generation. And I told this to Erin last week. I'm like, you know what? For as long as I'll be able to accomplish that, I will die happily. That's all I want in life. All I want. So I'll wake up at 4 a.m. However, if I can please ask you, if you're still watching this, there's 20, either 6 or 8 people in the room right now. Do us a favor and just share it. Say something about this so that somebody in the FDA can see it. I want to go and I want to talk to them.
Oh, they don't give a shit.
I know that, but hey, the more we knock them down, the more we knock on their doors, eventually they will have to listen. And if I have to be that person, then heck, I will.
I'll kick it down.
Right? But we need to do this together. Like Erin and I, we can't do this by ourselves.
Burn the village.
We need your help too. So if you found any value from today's conversation, do us a favor and please share it. And say something about it. Don't just click share because nobody else is going to look at it. The point is to get more eyes on this mission so that we can get more support and get in front of some people so that we can really make a change. Imagine if we lived in a world where kids were taught in schools that system of what is healthy food, right? Imagine if we lived in a world where women just felt badass and confident wherever they went instead of shameful. Come on, we don't have to be shameful for eating a brownie. However, we need to know the details of how it affects us and why it controls us in a certain way.
Yeah.
And until we understand that, then we'll never be able to get there. So remember that it all starts with you. Nobody else but you. Your life right now happened to you because of you and nobody else.
I want you to think of whatever light bulb moment you may have had or moments during this episode. I want you to click the share button and I want you to write down your light bulb moment and then I want you to post it. Wherever you choose to post it, amazing. We're really on a mission and we are grateful for every single one of you showing up, watching this, participating with us, being here, wanting to better yourself, wanting to better your families, wanting to better your life. It starts with you. And so all we ask, we show up free 5 days a week to help you help yourself. And all that we ask in return is that you click the share button and you share some aha moments and then post that so that other people have the opportunity to see as well. That's it. So thank you guys so much for being here. Did you have anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself this morning. And thank you for helping us to spread the mission.
Yeah. I want to bring up one more thing. Imagine if we lived in a world where all of the people you were surrounded by also ate healthy. How much easier do you think it would be for you to eat healthy? Right? So sharing this mission is in an effort to get more people eating well so that you can be surrounded by more people who are not tempting you to derail or who are encouraging you to really be your best self nutritionally and in all other areas of life. So thank you guys so much and we will see you tomorrow.
Ready?
All right, guys, have a great day. We love you.
Bye.
See you next time.